like Shrek without a donkey. From Ohio to Zimbabwe. For Harambe. He's the fist to Abercrombie. He's like Shrek without a donkey. From Ohio to Zimbabwe. For Harambe.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Deviant Gentlemen Podcast. We have part 2. My name is Shane Vitko, alongside my co-host, Mr. Tommy Vext.
What's up, everybody?
And we got the guys still from Hard to Kill. We got Matt, Aaron, and Thomas, all representing Hard to Kill Fitness. And we decided that we still got a lot more shit to talk about. So here we are.
All right.
So I want to jump into, Aaron, you live in Portland.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Tell me what's going on with that.
Absolute,
What is that like?
Absolute chaos. So, I mean, going back, everyone knows what's going on. I'm surprised that Portland has reacted the way that they did.
Like, why has it been Portland? Why not L.A.
I don't know.
or Minnesota?
I mean,
or,
you could
like,
say Antifa, you could say they're far left.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say a number of things, but I went out a few times to see what actually was happening, because, you know, the media will do
Right.
they'll do their thing.
Right.
But as far as, like, the BLM movement and all that shit, like, I don't see it. I just see a bunch of kids with skateboards and security T-shirts just raising hell.
Are they mostly white, though?
They're mostly white.
Yeah.
I got interviewed. I forget his name. A guy from the New York Times pulled me to the side at one of the protests, and he asked me what I was doing out there because I didn't fit the demographic of the rioters.
Yeah.
Because you were African American.
Because I was African American.
I mean,
Strange.
I saw that one video from Portland where literally it was 2 African American females and they were talking to 2 Antifa protesters, and they're like, "Please stop fucking spray painting these fucking walls because you're not representing us. You're not. That's not what we're out here actually trying to like protest and like be like that. This silent, and you guys are out spray painting this shit, and like you don't stand for what we stand for, like at all."
Yeah, well, that to me, it just falls under the category of domestic terrorism.
That's exactly what it is.
It's not like a revolutionary movement. You know, these people are pawns. They're easily manipulated. They're overly emotional, and they, you know, it's like a lot of them are. You could see the personality types when you look at these people. There are a lot of people who maybe. Who I would have like hung out with in the punk rock scene.
Yeah.
The people who are overlooked by society, don't really fit in, don't want to conform. You know, the way that they create identities for themselves is to be the antithesis of anything. You know, so they truly have no identity. So this is a thing for all those kind of lost people to be under a banner. And, you know, and it's like binding together the hate of Trump. It's like that. You really need to call it what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's
But
like
you're saying that thing about domestic terrorism. How hard do you think it is as us being ex-soldiers about taking an oath about protecting this country from all terrorists, foreign and domestic?
Whoa, that's so they first of all, they killed a man a couple nights ago.
The
in Portland.
protesters or
The protesters. They
Okay.
they
they're
murdered a man in
anarchists. They're not
cold blood,
protesting
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
right?
So they're labeled
But
protesters
they'll
by
never-
the media
right.
and by the Democratic governors and mayors because they want them to continue the unrest, because what they symbolize is what basically why the unrest is allowed to exist is because we're coming up on an election, and it symbolizes Trump's lack of leadership. But the lack of leadership is largely due to the fact that the governors and the mayors are allowing this to happen under their jurisdiction.
So is it go 2 ways, where it's this happens to election, Democrat wins, all that shit goes away, or Trump gets reelected?
It doesn't go away.
Trump
It
gets
gets
reelected.
10 times worse?
Civil war.
Yeah. The day if he wins the election, the protests will they'll start happening again.
yeah.
Like
I don't think it's going to be like it was. I think it's going to be 10,000 times worse.
oh yeah,
It'll
yeah,
be
yeah.
way
But
worse.
what's the solution to that?
But-
Is that like the military gets fucking
Yeah, but to
activated?
answer your question, it's kind of difficult because, and Matt, you can touch on this too. We deploy to protect our country.
right?
So you got troops who are walking around the streets of Los Angeles, Georgia, you know, soon to be Portland, fighting your own people per se. It's kind of like a mental warfare at that point, because you have to fight with yourself to say, is this right that I'm, you know, fighting Americans right now?
Right.
When there's shit going on over here, like these people are killing our brothers and now we're killing each other. It's hard to watch from our perspective. You know what I mean? I hate seeing what's happening in our country.
I know.
Bottom line, you know, like
Yeah.
if we're going to classify these guys as domestic terrorists, then are we going to treat them as so?
Yeah.
You know, I know when I was overseas and we were going after Al Qaeda, Jaish al-Mahdi, Taliban, ISIS, they were classified as terrorists. Those are capture kill missions.
I think if there's one, I mean, for example, the entire Antifa movement will collapse within itself if you send it 12 minutes of a team going into Chaz and just executing
100%.
everyone,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then once they're like, okay, people are coming in here and they're killing all of us, they're like, I'm going back to my computer.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
Or
they're
put
going to do.
them in Guantanamo
They're
Bay.
not. These aren't soldiers.
No.
They're not revolutionists. They're not from a third world country. They're not. They haven't cut their teeth surviving on the street their whole lives. These are the offspring of the affluent. They're not truly poor. They're kids who run away from their parents because they don't. You know, they're raging against the proverbial machine of their father figures with Trump. And
But I mean, is there?
But
how is there any way that this ends civilly?
I don't know.
I mean, people are gonna die.
I mean,
Right?
people are already dying.
people,
No,
a lot
so-
of people
Yeah.
died.
So-
You
and then-
look 4th of July weekend, 8 little kids were killed.
Yeah, in Atlanta, right?
No,
that
all
in-
over
oh, yeah,
Chicago,
Chicago,
Atlanta,
yeah.
and New York.
Yeah, I saw that.
Leadership, it's going to take reform at the highest level down to the lowest level. You
Yeah.
know, California, we're letting so many guys out of, you know, the prison system, and they're just going out and doing the same thing. We've seen how many reports where this guy was released because of COVID, goes and rapes 4-year-old, kills mother, you know. There's got to
That's-
be a time where you say,
But-
enough is enough.
Right.
But you're not going to have that because basically
tyrant as a
people
governor.
we have two political parties. The Democrats will destroy America if they can't win. Like, and these are the politicians. They don't care if they let people out of prison. They don't care if people get murdered and raped. They don't care if they burn down businesses. They don't care if they decimate the middle class. They don't care. All they care about is that they get rid of Trump and they reassume their power. And they don't even have a candidate. I mean, dude, Joe Biden was on one. Was it yesterday? He was like, his wife gave this really nice talk about him, and then he came out and was like, "Hi, I'm Joe Biden's husband," and you're just like, "Bro, what are we watching?
Yeah.
Like, what are we watching?" And the
Yeah.
question to me is that, why is the DNC so? Why don't they have anyone? They have no one.
No.
You got and then AOC is like endorsing Bernie Sanders. I'm like, he's not even running for president. What are you talking about? Like the party is it's like it's a fucking circus.
Yeah.
And it's like all you hear about is Trump did this, Trump did that. And dude, we all know what's up with Trump. Like I wish he didn't have Twitter. He says all crazy shit. And people who are conservative, don't say anything about Trump. Listen, fuck you. Like I'm an American.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's bullshit going on both sides, and it's like, I don't really know. I don't know where this is going. Like the polls again. They're doing the same thing they did. Like everyone has amnesia. They're doing the same thing they did with the last election. The polls were like, oh, Biden's up, and I'm like,
No.
and what this is gonna do is if he doesn't win.
Yeah.
Which I don't think he can, without the ballots being rigged. I don't think he can. I don't think he can
Well,
win.
what do you
I don't think a
what-
lot of people are going to vote.
Yeah,
well,
I
what
don't
do you
think so
What do you
either.
think about the fact that Trump's trying to shut down the USPS, and then you got this side of people going, they employ the most veterans. All these people are going to be out of work. All this that, and it's like, is that wrong, or is what he's doing correct? Because mail-in ballots is, I put a post up the other day about something that said like, I have to vote the same way a fucking
Right.
colonial soldier sent a love poem to his girlfriend back home. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, you got to look at the mail-in ballots two ways, right? Because like when we're overseas, we can do the mail-in ballots. So you look at it that way. I see that argument. The problem I have with the mail-in ballots is that in the technology age that we're in, right? Everything we're saying here is recorded. So in 10 years, you can look back at it and say whatever. When you have the same people on stage right now saying, we need to do mail-in ballots, we have to, COVID, blah, blah. And you look back 12 years ago, and those same motherfuckers are the ones going, this is so unconstitutional, mail-in ballots, there's no way, we would never do that. It's like, okay, well, what line do you, like, are you senile? Are you like? And that's the problem that you have with the Democratic Party.
The Democratic Party are speaking to the uneducated, the
Always.
unaware, like that's who they're talking to. And and those who are very involved and very much hate Trump. So you have like it's almost like Trumpism is like a form of racism. So nothing that the right says can be right because Trump.
Right.
Right. So it's literally like his personality and lack of leadership, if you want to call it, is so abhorrent and distasteful to certain personality types that they would line up for they would line up to do anything the DNC suggested, including wearing masks everywhere and doing all this stuff that the literal scientists that are telling you, just like you said, that are telling people to do these things, said they don't even work anyway, and that it's just a symbol of compliance. Wearing a mask literally means you're with Joe Biden. Yeah. It's a political thing. It is. It has nothing to do with public health. There's raves going on in Wuhan, China.
Oh
These motherfuckers have to have the antidote. They have to have something. They're like having full-on concerts, and they're with swimming pools, and they're dancing and shit.
The problem with COVID that I have, right, is that you've been told all this stuff, and so herd immunity has to be 80 to 90%. We're not even at 10% yet. This thing's not spreading rapidly. It's not really killing people. On a grand scheme of things, when we talk about everything, it's not really killing people. So now the argument is, well, we have to wear masks until we reach herd immunity. We're never going to reach herd immunity. That'll never fucking happen. Like, it'll never happen.
Well,
It would take a decade.
We went to eat last night, and where you check in was maybe 6 feet to our table. Wear the mask to the table. Once you get to the table, take the mask off. If you have to get up and go to the bathroom or leave, put the mask back on.
It's psychological.
You should have saw Shane when they made him put his face in the temperature thing, dude.
Dude, we went to a restaurant. Not only are you covered with a mask, you put your face up to this thing that's got an outline of your face, and it tells you what your temperature is with a fucking mask on. It's like
somebody's making fucking.
They just want to know what you look like with the mask on, dude. You're done. It's over.
It's not. They're probably recording your fucking face.
Yeah,
dude, I did not
look at what's happening
in
Australia. Is having the worst lockdown of any country. They've had 300 deaths total, and the whole state of Victoria, which means the city of Melbourne, you're allowed out 1 hour a day to get groceries or exercises. You are not allowed more than 5 kilometers from your house. There are police.
Sounds like jail.
If you drive past 5 kilometers of where you are, all the bridges and roads have checkpoints. You have to have documentation to show the police that you are an essential worker. If you'll call, the police are beating people in the streets for not wearing a mask. And we have people in America here who are like, this, that, the other. I'm like, dude. And if you want to know, and I'll tell you from the entertainment industry, Australia is, everything in the entertainment industry gets tested on the Australian people first. Because they're very close to being Americans. They just don't have guns. And they're a little more chill and a little like not as much like, they're not, that's not their vibe. So they've successfully convinced all these people to do this shit. And now it's already coming down the pipe. They're going to have mandatory vaccinations.
Yeah,
and they're doing contact tracing technology. Yeah. So there are businesses for workers, like the employees.
I never thought Shirley Max would sound like a fucking better stop.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And like, they're gonna scan people's faces, and then report to their superiors if they are not practicing social distancing.
Have you guys seen that at other places? That shit.
Do you see what they're doing in Maine right now?
That's the first time I've seen that.
The servers in Maine are wearing like dog cones.
Oh yeah.
So that when they cough, it goes up, or they breathe, it goes up.
I'm just letting you know, man. Catch me in Belize, dude.
I just want to go somewhere where I get served by a human wearing a dog cone.
You got to go home then.
There's a club in Germany. I can tell you.
Yeah. So
they come on all fours with the food on their back.
I think the problem, though, honestly, overall, is that like I'm super moderate, man. I have a lot of liberal fucking values. I really do, but moderate liberal value. So that's the problem. Is that like a lot of us feel, I think, suppressed a little bit right now, and that's the problem when you talk about the polls, right? A lot of people really aren't. It's going to be the same shit. A lot of people really aren't talking now, but a lot of people are probably going to vote Trump because they're like, dude, you see Biden talk, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you have these people.
But again, it's like what Tommy said and what we've talked about before, that is the majority going to be more people that don't give a fuck if they put Alf in office as long as it's not Trump?
I mean, I don't know.
Or is it going to be people that go,
I
at least
feel like it is.
You're really voting for Kamala Harris, which is a nightmare if
awful
you know who
idea.
she is
Yeah.
and her policies. I mean, she made her career off putting African American men in jail.
And keeping them there.
And keeping them there, yeah. Because she's in bed with the industrial prison complex. So what that looks like to me is that if the Democrats win the election, Joe Biden's got a couple of months before he's deemed unfit or kicks the bucket. She steps in. Then the same thing that we saw in Australia happens, mandatory vaccines, and dissenters, people who refuse to get vaccinated, will be incarcerated.
Well, she's on record. There's a quote, you can Google it. She's on record as saying that we will remember the ones that voted against us, and you will pay for it. That's an actual quote from her.
And that's who we're voting
I'll send her
for.
my address.
Yeah, she can come by me any day.
But that's what's going to happen. I mean, you see people, the conspiracy theorists are all, people are going out and filming these Walmart turned FEMA camps. And FEMA started hiring all these people, like tens of thousands of people are getting hired by FEMA.
Yep.
Why? Why are all these camps on train tracks too?
Yeah. Well, have you
It's very weird.
have you ever actually looked this shit up? Like the actual train, dude.
Yes.
They end up in literally they go north and it stops at a concentration camp. You can look all this shit
I feel
up.
like they did this somewhere else before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Snowpiercer is pretty good.
Yeah.
Eating that those bars. Ugh. So here's what I want to talk about. We talked
What are
about
we going
this.
to concentrate about though? Like, where are they going to, I'm like, imagine an American concentration camp. They have them in China. They have over 1 million Muslims in concentration camps
Dude,
in
I
China.
seen that video of them marching all those motherfuckers
Well,
down there.
because they're calling them relearning camps.
Relearning camps.
Am I going to have to relearn my liberal values?
Yeah, that's like sending the
Sure,
gays
I
to
mean-
gay camp and stop being gay. You know what I mean? Like, nah, dude, that's not how it works. All right, switching gears.
But is it?
So
I don't know. It's hard to switch gears from this one. It's like, it's a tight one.
I want
Well, no, this
Okay, go ahead.
is a question. What, if in this doomsday scenario, who is going to stand up? Like, who's going to do something about it? Yeah. Because like you said, military personnel who are either deployed or retired or whatever, who is basically, on the conservative side, and I guess identify as a moderate because there's things I don't like about
super
both.
moderate, yeah.
However, I'm not okay. I am so vehemently against totalitarian control, and I don't like communism.
Yep.
You could call it socialism, but I'm too educated. I know too much. It's just communism.
Yep.
You're talking about communism. You're talking about technocracy and aristocracy and totalitarian globalized control, and that's the conspiracy theory. Like the news is like, it's a conspiracy. I'm like, everything has been a conspiracy theory until it comes out, and you're like, oh yeah. Who is gonna stand up and say, no, we're not having it?
I will.
Yeah, I think it's when it comes house to house.
Well, I think, and here's my point of view, is like, I would love to be the one that leads the thing. I get put in cuffs. I go away for a long time. I'm a felon.
We're all gonna, but that's
it's
what
different
we're
for
getting
somebody.
faced
But
with.
it's different if it were Matt to do it or I, right? Where I'm sadly not willing to take that. But if there was an uprising or whatever, I no longer consider myself a felon. I am a goddamn veteran. 11 Bravo for life.
Well,
And,
at that point, you go into survival mode.
And if that happens,
laws-
I know plenty of people that I'm going to reach out to
But the
to
law
do the right
doesn't-
thing
the
as an
law
American
is-
and not go be a criminal and do this fucking Antifa shit at fucking the Capitol.
You know what they did with Chaz? I mean, they didn't do anything.
Yeah, they just
So
left it.
we'll take what's ours. This is
Yeah.
America, and we'll fight for it.
That's the thing too, is that within our community, guys we know, dude, it's too easy. I mean, literally. And I
And
said
you've
that.
seen
Well,
what
I said
happened in Huntington. Antifa came down there, and Tito Ortiz banded up. They rolled up everybody, and they just stood in front of the cops, and they're like, "No,
Well, somebody asked me this.
we're not having it. You can protest, but we're not. You're not going to destroy our city."
Yeah, somebody asked me on the podcast, man. I actually had a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, bro, you might not want to say that shit on air," and I was like, "I don't care," but I told him, I was like, "Dude, I would be the warlord of East Lawrence if they came seriously." For my 6 blocks, I would control 6 blocks.
But I feel like who is the one that's, I don't want to say Martin Luther King, but who is the one that has the voice enough?
The people.
Right. Like you saw this guy, people been sharing it, the guy that went to his city hall, and he's like, we're being peaceful right now. But I promise you, if you keep going down this route, we are not going to be out there holding signs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But And again, that's cool to say that, but can you get more than 1, 2, 3? Like, I mean, it takes who's going to break that barrier where people go fucking A and do it.
Well, I mean, the government has lost law enforcement's faith.
I know. But can law enforcement join the people? Because I've been
but
seeing a little bit of yes
if you're
and
talking
no.
if you're talking doomsday, 100%, they would have to. If you're talking absolute make or break situation, then yes.
But now what happens is we, the people in the law enforcement, band together and they dispatch the fucking army. And now here's guys that
They wouldn't. It'd be a
and
lot
I followed the regular
hopefully
army.
we
it'd be
can
a
pull
lot
them
of
in
court
too,
marshals. It'd
right?
be a lot of page 11s handed out.
Right.
They'll have that shit
I
printed out in
followed
the
the
back of the
regular
7
army, dude. They can come get it.
Yeah.
They can come
Right.
get it. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
but that's.
like,
I mean, I think that's what the pull is. I think that the Democrats want the power of the military because the military wants whoever the president is, the commander in chief. They, that's the only pushback.
Can Trump, like, before going out of office, just like, it's like, can you do like, like the last day before you graduate high school, and it's like, let me just be a complete motherfucker because I'm already graduating.
Well,
Can
yeah,
a president
they
just go like,
pardon people.
I got a week left. Let's hit some buttons.
What
Well,
they
they
did
pardon
in
people. I mean,
what they did in what Trump did in Portland was sending the marshals out.
Right. Tell me about that when
Dude,
you went through there with a GoPro and shit.
So I went through with a GoPro, and they raised absolute hell.
the marshals.
Yeah.
Right. Because marshals are not pulling you over for a speeding ticket, by the
they
way.
don't.
They have a mission
they're
objective.
snatching people in vans, bro.
And that wasn't a joke. I don't know. Someone was saying that was a.
no, that was real.
No, that was
someone
real.
Yeah, someone was on Instagram like, "There's no way they're actually doing that." I was like, "It's."
Oh yeah,
First of all, it wasn't a van. They had black Tahoes.
yeah.
And the top of the window was tinted. The bottom window was tinted. It was like some fucking Sicario shit.
But the thing is, though, is that
That
you,
makes me happy.
yeah, you
Yeah,
play
but
stu-
so
play
they were,
stupid
they
games
were.
once-
I mean, they were
right.
hanging out for the most part. I was talking to one marshal. He was from Texas. They set him up, and they're just, they were protecting the Justice Center, not making any noise. Someone would, piss in a bottle and throw it at him with no cap. The police department or the state troopers would have to sustain that and keep their bearing. The marshals were like, nah.
We got a different ROE, buddy.
Came from over there, fucking send 3. The van would come up, snatch them up, and they were gone. And then people were like, what the fuck just happened? Well, that idiot just technically assaulted a federal agent.
Right.
You had that shit coming. You guys got your skateboards. They've got fucking AR-15s. How do you want to? Which way do you guys want to go?
But
with
here's
this?
the thing: is like,
I have a very dark outlook on a lot of these people, and
being
I can imagine. Being look, if this stuff goes sideways and these Antifa people, what are you gonna do when you run into somebody who all they've been thinking about doing is murdering all of you?
Dude,
In any way, there are so what they don't realize is
better be good with that skateboard,
all their
son.
behavior and all this shit that has happened all you've done is you have activated enemies, sleeping enemies. There are sleepers they are just waiting, and all they want to do is extinguish you.
That's how we're
because your
built.
psychology is so dangerous to democracy, and you have become such a tool and a pawn that the only way for us to take control of the country again is for you to be dead. And that's all of you, your friends, your family. And there are people who are not well. What are they going to do when the next Vegas shooter is targeting an Antifa or a BLM rally? Well, who you're going to call the cops? Well, imagine if the cops didn't respond to the Vegas shooting.
The cops you defunded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the cops that have stopped responding
Yeah.
in Austin, unless it's a murder.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing. So now in Portland, right, they get a call on the marshals. What does it take to not have to call on the marshals so that the police are already prepared for that? In other words, what's the SOP for law enforcement, which is standard operating procedure?
So you can probably hit this one, Matt.
So, like, when we talked about this yesterday, when we go through the military, I get 16 weeks of boot camp. I got basic combat training. Then I get AIT. Then I got it's range, this, all these things before I am sent overseas. How much is going into law enforcement training, and what should be the standard?
Not enough. Bottom line, California, I think, has some of the best trained police officers. So we have a 6-month mandatory academy. Post standard. That's the California standard, 6 months. But you go to some of these other states, and there's 6-week academies.
And how much of that is on a range, live fire, moving around, targets popping up into a house?
10%.
Wow.
10%. The rest is learning laws. The rest is, all the dumb stuff, like, yeah, I got to know my laws, I got to know my policies and stuff like that. But what's going to keep cops safe out there and keep the public safe out there is my motto, like training, fighting, shooting, live, fight, shoot. If you have fat cops out there and they get in a fight with a guy like you or you, like, and you're beating their ass, now they have to go to their gun because they're getting their ass kicked. Or they could be a fucking stud who trains, who takes pride in their job, who takes pride in looking the part, that can handle themselves. I'm a force instructor. I teach guys how to take dudes down and get them in handcuffs,
Right.
I train jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai.
What's it called that you do? The
force instructor.
Force
use
instructor.
of force instructor.
Right. And now that's mandatory for where you are, correct?
Yeah. we
And
have to
how
do
long
training.
how long do they go through that?
So I went through a 5-week use of force instructor school, and to get in there, I had to have some martial arts background because I take pride in being hard to kill, being able to make it home to my family every night.
Yeah.
I'll do everything I possibly can, and that's why I train so hard. But normal guys,
But
in
when
the
you
academy,
put these guys through, how long are
yeah,
they
in
going
the
through, though?
academy, you probably do like an hour of force instruction a day. In California, I don't know what some of these other places are like.
Probably
I
not
would
at
say
all.
that that's not the standard.
Yeah.
And is
I
that the
think it
standard
ch- I think
throughout
it
California, or is it
changed
by
in
county?
Yeah, it changed in the state after Rodney King, I believe. Right?
Yeah,
in
it's throughout
1992,
California. Yeah, there was a lot of reform done around that time.
Well, yeah. And
Because I feel like, and we talked about this, like if I lived in a town, I mean, granted, LA is a big area, but if I had a place that had 12 cops like you, as opposed to a force of 70 that are ill-trained, scared under pressure, don't know what to do, and maybe could fucking shoot me or beat me for no reason, or take this role of power because, those people that I got power now because I was bullied when I was a kid, and this, look at Newsom,
Yeah,
right?
it's
I
like
can
Zoo-
get the
it's
power to
like
do whatever the fuck I
Zootopia.
want,
it's
So
like-
how do we set that of like, if you, I mean, to me, it's like, it's not defund the police, it's put whatever money maybe is going into this, put into more fucking range time, or like live scenarios. Not I went to a range and fucking me and Joe are fucking just drinking water and
Force
shooting
on
at a
force
target.
training.
Go
Yes.
through and shit's popping up, and this is a real nice scenario, and it's a fucking woman and a man. I have a decision to make.
Well, and the thing is too is like what Matt's talking about too. We've talked about this several times about where we both have Brazilian jiu-jitsu backgrounds, right? And that's super important. The problem is you have a lot of cops who get through academy and go through fresh off the streets, and they've never even been punched in the face before.
And now they got to go.
The first time you ever got hit in the face, and you're like,
I work with guys that have never been in a fight.
What the
like
fuck
you know,
just
yeah,
happened?
yeah, we're dudes in there, yeah, you get hit, you're like, God, what the, wow.
I remember this kid blasted
Yeah,
me,
like,
and I had an
why?
iced tea,
You know?
and my knee hit the ground, and I'm watching my iced tea fly down the street,
Yeah.
and I'm like, why is my iced
Iced
tea
tea, yeah.
flying down the street? And I'm like, oh my God, this
punch
kid
in the
just
face.
fucking blasted
So-
me in the mouth.
You got that, and then multiply that by the first time you get fucking shot at, dude. And you've never been in a fight. The
Little caca.
first thing you're going to
Little
do is
poo.
reach for a gun, man. And you don't have the mentality. Whereas I tell people all the time, if you're talking about my number one thing when I tell guys who are going through selection, man, go do judo, go do jujitsu for a while, because being under pressure, having a grown ass man put me on top of you and try to get out.
Right.
You're not going to.
Right.
You're not.
And then panic.
Yeah, you're going to panic. You're going to panic. But you get comfortable doing that to where jiu-jitsu is fun. Then, when you got a 250-pound crackhead on you, you're like, yeah, it's going to be all right, man. I'm about to triangle the shit out this dude. You need that training.
But
And
I think
an
that's the
hour a day-
issue with just, here's your badge, you graduated.
Right.
They need to increase education.
Well, I think they also don't want to educate. We had our first episode. We had Lieutenant Heineman from Santa Monica PD, and he was talking about it. It was like there's a certain level. They want a certain number of bodies, and they don't want to deal with people questioning and pushback. I mean, what's your experience with that? I mean, do you feel like that's accurate?
No, we have a cap on how many officers we can have, like, for sure. And we have a budget, and that's decided by the city manager and the city when it comes down to it. They're the ones, local city managers and local council members are responsible for determining our budget. And I think there should be more on education, more on training, more standards when it comes to physical fitness. You should not be allowed to be a fat cop. And if you're injured,
Yeah.
you should retire out.
I mean, firefighters are like, dude, they gotta, the firefighter training just to, you gotta carry a sack up like, whatever flight of stairs and the hoses and all that shit.
I just,
Be able to
mean, when
carry you out of a backyard out to the street to an ambulance
Right.
if you get shot after I just suppressed the enemy.
Right. And
Yeah,
not
I
have
can't-
to go, hey, we
I
got to
can't
call
pick you
in.
up, yeah.
Thomas is the only guy that come in and lift this guy up.
Yeah. Well, and see, that's the thing too. Why Matt's motto and what he's putting out with all his new stuff coming out, the live, fight, shoot kind of thing going on, right? Or live, train, shoot. It's you when you're looking at it, a cop, man, a police officer, he takes out of his own time. The department's not paying him to get up every fucking morning and do what he does, and they're not paying him to go on shift. This dude was the other day. He was like, "Oh man, like I've been up since like 5 a.m. I'm about to go in for a night shift." And guess what? He got off the next day and went to a workout. That's his prerogative. But if you're going to take a badge and shield, you're going to put that on, then you need to make that your prerogative as well.
But that goes back to the same thing of what is the level of a man's success, and yours obviously differs from others.
The other thing
Sadly.
is too is that I don't feel like there's a lot of incentive for people of that you are at a certain level of excellence when it comes to your training, your experience, all these things that come into play, like your character. Most people of that level of excellence are not interested in being in law enforcement because of several reasons. It doesn't pay enough,
Right.
and it's not a cool job anymore. You know what I mean? Like the media over the past 6-7 years, as well as a couple of incidences with bad cops, with people who should not, the same people I'm talking about, who should not have been allowed to be police officers, have made blue is the new racism. You know, it's like it's socially acceptable to be racist against cops, but it's a job. They're they're public servants. You know what I mean? They're there to serve and protect the community. So, it's kind of as idiotic as saying, well, this cop did this, so they're all bad. It's just like, well, this person did this, so all Chinese people are bad, or he did that, and then so all Jewish people are bad.
Yeah.
It's like
That's why I make fun of that ACAB thing so much. I think that's the funniest shit in the world because I didn't know what that meant when I first saw it spray painted. I was like ACAB. I was like, and then I found out what it meant, and I was like, that's dumb as shit.
Dude, I said that to somebody. I was like,
dumb.
I was like, if all cops are bad or bastards, then all African Americans are criminals. And this girl was like, that's not the same. And I was like, bro,
It kind of is.
That's kind of believable, though.
tell me how it isn't the same.
I just don't understand too why some guys don't do everything they can to live up to what I think are my values. You saw me with my son. You saw how I look at him. Like that is my main purpose every night is to get back to my son, kiss him on the forehead, and tell him good night.
But I truly believe that it takes one person to stumble onto your Instagram, one person to hear this podcast, and then they tell a friend, and they tell a friend. And, like, honestly, if it makes a difference in 3 people's lives, that's fucking 3 more than it was.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
You know?
We talked about that.
I know that we're not going to fucking change the world overnight. But, like, if I can have this ripple effect, like I tell people, man, if I could change, what's your fucking excuse? I've done it all. I've been on both sides of the law. I've been a soldier. I've been a fucking convict. I've done drugs. I've done shitty things. I've done good things. So, like, there's no excuse to me that you can't figure out a new way, but it takes work. And a lot of people aren't willing to put in the work, and they just say, fuck it. Like, am I going to convince my 82-year-old dad that, values he's had his whole life? No. I have to accept him for who he is and know that I don't agree with some of the stuff, but I'm not changing him. It's too far gone. But if it's not too far gone, what can you do today? Today, not tomorrow. What can I do today to make one slight change to be a fucking better person and start going down a different road and start to have more values and more, and ask myself, is somebody that supports Trump a bad person? Is somebody that's a cop, all of them are bad? Yeah. I don't believe that.
And devil's advocate, like if my friends are gonna vote for Biden because they hate Trump, does it make them dumb? No.
Right.
No.
That's they like we.
That's the great thing about being an American.
America, we respect other people's religion. You're like, oh, you're Muslim, you're Christian, you're Jewish. You're like, yo, don't fuck with people's religion, bro. Like, that's not your fucking business. But your politics, like, you should die. Like what the fuck?
It's causing so much on social media with everybody, like, just at each other's throats over what?
And the weirdest thing for me is, like, no bullshit, the weirdest thing for me totally is that if you put us in a room with Trump and Biden, they would just like sit in a corner together and be like, "Who the
Right.
fuck are these dudes, man?" Like, I mean, we wouldn't do it. They'd be like, "We got to get the fuck out of here."
I mean,
dude. Like, we don't want
it's-
anything to do with these
It's
dudes.
all
Like,
agreed upon.
I wish we could interview the two of them
Yeah,
at the same time.
like
They wouldn't do it.
no,
You gotta
but,
connect, hook it up.
we have nothing in common with them. Like
I know.
growing up, I got nothing in common with you. They're both from up north. I got nothing.
I mean, who even
Like-
thinks, you know what, I can run America?
Nobody.
Like,
can.
you have to be a little bit fucked off in the head to even think,
Well, I got
I
three-
can run a state, I can run the country. Like,
I got 3 years till I
you're
can
a bit of
run,
an
so,
asshole.
no.
you know?
Yeah, well,
I'll give it a fucking shot. Give me a month. You know? Let me try it out. I just want to, let me do 30 days.
I'll pick July.
Yeah.
Nah,
I don't want
not
that
taking
job.
shit.
I don't want it.
Trump's been. They had. It was reported there has been 25 assassination attempts on Trump already. 25. That's crazy.
Why don't we hear about
I haven't heard
Because
about
it-
one.
I know.
Of course.
No.
Well, I heard about he
What-
was doing a press briefing the other day.
That the White
That-
House shooting.
yeah, there
and,
was a
and they
shooting
had to
outside.
fucking.
But if you ever,
know.
if you've been to DC lately, dude, that's
Yeah,
not
when isn't there a
surprising. Like
shooting
that's
in
not
fucking
surprising.
DC?
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, oh, there was a shooting in Chicago. I'm like, at what time? Like, you know, it's like.
How many this hour?
Yeah.
Did you guys happen to see though the African American lady running for Congress in Baltimore that put out that ad?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where she's walking through
Yeah,
the.
I don't
the
I
city.
don't know her. I didn't like her face, but I don't know her. I just would
just
never
had one of those faces
that
where
I
you're like,
wouldn't vote
"Fuck
for.
you." Yeah.
But the message, I was like,
Right.
she was walking through like the ghettos of Baltimore and was like, yeah, Democrats don't care about black people. I was
We,
like, damn.
we gotta
Damn,
get past
Kanye.
that.
All right.
I know Kanye, right? Holy shit.
I'd vote for Kanye though.
Stop.
I would.
Um,
I would. 100%.
So
Kanye.
That would be the
vote.
ultimate hoax. That would just be like everybody just to like.
I would vote for
Could
Kanye.
you imagine?
How do
And
we
I
hit the
hope
reset
that
button?
he did like a Sunday sermon, dude. Just him live TV, just singing.
with his little white piano.
yeah, I'm good with it. I'd be like, that's my president. That's ye.
Oh man, I voted for you.
Oh my god! Imagine the first lady who's got a fucking porn out. You're just like, Jesus.
I mean, honestly, it's not fucking crazy at this point.
No.
Imagine it's like
Anything's
we've
possible.
come to a place where
We literally-
that's it. What happened to like politicians though? Like, I mean, you know, again, they're insane no matter what. But what
they're
happened
losing.
to that?
They're losing power, and they're trying to regain it by
But see,
instilling
Where's the
control.
Ronald Reagan's at?
well,
Yeah.
they lost
Yeah.
power.
I mean, the
because
fact that even
they're
Trump
own-
was a fucking option is
they're
bananas.
owned. They're bought out.
They're bought out. Yeah.
They're all
Yeah.
bought out. So like,
We don't even talk
big-
about
the
how much
far-
are bought by China, though.
oh
Like,
yeah.
dude, I don't even.
But that's
I'm
the
not trying to get killed this week.
No,
so
but
we won't
that's the
even go,
unforget.
but-
Like, people are not. No one talks about China. Everyone's like Russia. This. I'm like, dude. Okay, let's imagine this conspiratorial theory. What if our two political parties are fighting on behalf of two other
Yes.
communist nations?
Yes.
Right. So let's just say Trump and Russia and Trump and Russia. Well, the Democrats and China, 100%, 100%.
They're all in
Just
bed
talking
with
about
somebody.
COVID-19. Right now, we can't air this episode because I
Yeah.
said the word.
Put your mask
fucked
on.
it up.
Yeah.
Go
No,
ahead.
I mean it has a patent, and the U.S. patent clerks like Article 35B. I'm paraphrasing, but I'll look. I'll
I'm
re-look
looking
it
that up right now.
Yeah. It says that you cannot patent a byproduct of nature. You can't patent an animal
Yeah.
or a germ or anything. So COVID-19 is a biologically engineered organism,
Yeah.
which means it was made in a lab. There's no way it could come from a bat because there's just the fact that it has a patent on it.
That's fucking.
Period.
just
And
on the-
nobody
I
talks
literally
about that.
never knew
Let's
that.
hear it.
Just
Yeah,
on the
we
China
got some
thing.
Of course
facts.
you wouldn't
Just,
know
well, no,
that.
just on, I'm not
Let's
going to
hear
throw
some
any
facts
facts. I'm
real
going to throw
quick.
somebody
Get a fact
out there
checker.
on Instagram.
All right.
So Professor PROF_useless17. Just go follow that guy on Instagram. He's just giving all the China stuff.
Okay. All right.
Just
We're
giving
gonna
all
get
of
this.
it out there.
Let's
And it's,
Rewind to 47 minutes. Point.
yeah. But no, man, we don't. And that's something we don't ever talk about. Is that there's a lot of stuff going with China right now with aides who are literally working for U.S. politicians who are also working in China, and it's like,
Well, because they have so much money.
oh yeah,
I mean, you think that? So one of the things that's is really strange about the whole lockdown in Melbourne, Australia, that we were talking about, is that my friend buys properties there and like develops them and like has renters and they whatever. All of the competition is Chinese. Basically, the Chinese bought tons and tons and tons and tons of. They did this in downtown LA, so. And they also bought all the ports in Greece they own.
Mm-hmm.
They bought all of them.
Them and Tom Hanks.
Yeah, it's
No, they probably bought Tom Hanks too.
Something else that was done by the Japanese in World War II that China's done that we don't talk about a lot either is so we don't talk about the U.S. Pacific pool that we have, right? So the U.S. is all in Pacific. China obviously wants more control in Pacific where they at. They actually have man-made engineered islands off the coast of China that they built themselves, and those are interesting to look at as well. There's a lot of good stuff out there with China. I'm a big China fan.
Yeah, I see that.
I know where you're going.
China.
I know I was going to do it earlier. You started talking. I was like, I'll leave it. China.
All right. Well, we're going to switch gears real quick. And we got, this is kind of just called the bullshit hour. But I've had people ask me about this tattoo on my hand, which is called the Valnute. And what this means is it's I live, I die, I live again, right? And it was, it's anything Nordic is closely related to white supremacy, sadly. However, it's also closely related to guys that have served, right? Yeah. Because we're warriors, we're of that warrior, whether it's Spartan, Nordic stuff. So my hands say Valhalla awaits me. This says victory of Valhalla. And for me, the reason I grew up in a very strict, like Catholic upbringing where I never was, but my family was. And I never grasped the Jesus thing and all that stuff. When I went to the military and I had this camaraderie and all this stuff, and then later on when I got sober, where I had to find this higher power. Jesus didn't work for me. Picturing a guy with a white beard and a Mickey Mouse shirt didn't work for me. And I just had to find something that worked for me. And I looked into anything, whether it was Egyptian, Greek, Roman, Nordic, where it was gods and goddesses and battle and stuff. So to me, what this represented was, so it's a rebirth. It's got 9 points, which is 9 months to be born. So for me, it's I lived, I died in addiction, and now I get to live again. And that's what that symbolized to me. And, I have heathen across my stomach because I don't believe in any real religion. I believe that, like, you wake up, you be a good fucking human being, and you do whatever you want. You pray to whatever God you want, whether you want to be Muslim, Christian. I feel like at 16, you should get all the books and then decide from there what makes sense to you. Yeah. And if I know people, the Bible speaks to their heart. That's awesome. It's not me, though. And that's fine that that's you, and it should be fine that I believe. I dig gods and fighting and wars and goddesses and shit. That shit is cool to me and makes more sense than 12 white guys walking through Egypt with no SPF, And I know, Matt, that you have.
Think they were white.
Very
controversial.
I know.
However,
but that's what we're told.
Hate to be the bearer of historical facts.
We're supposed to believe that 12 white guys walked through fucking Egypt and just kicked it with no sunburns.
But that's what makes this country so fucking great.
Yeah.
You can believe in.
So, Matt, I want to ask you because, I know you got Thor's hammer, you got Odin, you got a bunch of stuff. What does that signify to you?
It took me years to find something that I wanted to put on my body permanently, and I wanted it to be a dedication to warriors. To all of them, all the guys I served with, all the guys I continue to serve with the police force. And that's what I came up with. I saw closely that, the Viking lifestyle, the Nordic lifestyle was, you fight and you go to a place when you die in battle, you go to Valhalla where warriors are welcomed, and I don't want to be, wherever I go after, I want to be with warriors. I want to be with those guys I fought side by side with because those are the best days of my life.
I want to be with shield maidens. So.
But do you ever get that? Do you ever get people you have racist shit?
No, never.
That's weird to me. I've never heard that.
Yet.
And as someone who spent extended amount of time in Scandinavia, with Scandinavians,
it's the AB.
It's all amongst the Asatru community where they're like, this does not mean hate. This means a certain thing, and people will see this all the time and think that
do you think it's because you're a felon?
But where do they get that from?
In prison.
Is it white supremacists that you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So in
they
prison,
like
they go with it's all these white gods and these warriors, and they took out the ice giants, be it black colored, whatever. So Odin is the father, and Thor, and all this stuff, and everything very Viking related has a close tie to white supremacy, sadly. Yeah. And then people that really are into the Asatru, which is what would be considered the religion, try to dispel that and be like, because like you said, you go to Scandinavian shit, that's not how they are. They do this shit because it's just like you grow up here and you're taught about Jesus or whatever it is. There it is a very thing of, to me it was like if you did something before battle because you thought it was a homage to the gods to stay safe in the battle. I mean, these people wouldn't sail, they wouldn't eat, they wouldn't do certain things without a certain sacrifice to these gods. That's how much they believed in them.
Sounds like the Democrats.
Yeah. But yeah,
we have fun on the show sometimes.
But for me,
gang.
because I've been to prison and because I have tattoos and shit, people always will assume that I did that based on race. And I actually got it after prison because with breathwork, I'm the heathen healer. Because like it's okay. It's okay for me to have the beliefs I do, and I don't look down on you for having yours, but don't spoon feed me your Jesus stuff because it's just not for me.
I have a in the center of my chest, like my boy tattooed the Illuminati thing. It's not exactly it. It's like some version of it.
I knew
and
it.
I had a big space in the center of my chest, and I had tattooed everywhere else. And he was like, "Yo, I think this will fit." And I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "I don't know. It's like some.
It's on the dollar bill."
He's like, "It's
Illuminati
something
shit,
from the dollar. I saw it on the internet, so I drew it up." I was like, "Oh, sick." So I've had this thing for years, and I like I have like shirtless pictures and stuff. Yeah, because I'm trying to get laid and all that, and I'm a slutty piece of shit. And dude, people go crazy. I have had
Don't
to
at me
explain
unless you're
this.
nasty.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh my God, you're in the Illuminati." I'm like, "Listen, bro. If I was in the Illuminati, do you think that I would be saying the shit that I'm saying and talking about the things I'm talking about
Yes, 100%.
and exposing the
something
things?
the
Yeah,
Illuminati would say.
absolutely.
That's
He's
something-
one of them.
That's something the Illuminati would say. Tommy.
That's what they would say. I'm like, listen, guys.
Dude, yeah. I
yeah.
get shit though for mine.
Yeah.
Like fucking, I got told that because I had that Stoned Ape Theory tattoo, and they were like, "You got a gorilla on it." I'm like, "It's not racist, bro. Calm down." Like, what are
What
we
is
serious?
it? Wait, is a gorilla racist?
Yeah, you
Well,
can't.
saying that
you
it's
know.
a black gentleman.
Yeah.
So if you
Because
so
my
basically,
guess.
mine's in the suit. It's a Stoned Ape Theory tattoo. So
oh, okay.
Oh, what a racist! Look at he's showing it.
So why would you, if you
Look,
had
he's
that
showing it.
tattoo,
right. I have no.
why
idea.
would it make? That's so confusing.
People just want to
People are
base
they
their.
want to find
know?
dude. Somebody, but
Man,
like,
I'm
like-
so glad I'm not white, bro. Holy shit!
hey, I'll be honest
the
with you.
shit they gotta
Come
deal
to
with, dude.
Portland, bro.
Hey,
I don't even want.
They
I'll
know
be
what's
honest
good.
with you.
I had a
shit.
lady. I had a lady walk up in the restaurant and was like, so like, I guess from this angle maybe, but she was like, "Why do you have Adolf Hitler tattooed on your arm?" And I
Theodore
turned it,
Roosevelt?
And I was like, "That's the." And she was like, "I am so sorry."
I thought that
Dude,
was. I thought that was.
that's the
But
problem
what
with
blew
it.
my mind was I was like, "That's cool if you thought that, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
why would you walk over to me and be like, "Is that Adolf?" Like, what did you think you were going to do? What if it was Adolf?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
what
I
if-
don't
She
know.
was gonna
You know
fuck
what? Yeah.
you up.
Well,
Yeah,
people
yeah,
don't
I mean,
mind
I
their
was like,
business
I mean,
anymore.
People, yeah,
But
He's
that's
like, is that
okay.
Adolf Hitler? Step outside with me, sir. Let's go.
Right? She does
thought that
Krav
was the- I
McGraw.
thought
He
that-
actually gives you a good fight. You're like, Jesus
smokes
Christ.
me with a Jew hammer real
Yeah.
quick. It's over.
Right?
I thought that
she
was,
puts you in an arm bar on you, and she's like, "Wait a second." I'm like, "It's Teddy Roosevelt."
It's Teddy.
I'm sorry, sir.
But like, I mean, I got all my sleeves done in prison, right? And when I was there,
We could tell.
I got infantry done on the back of my arm because I still had this like insecurity of like, I don't want to just be covered in tattoos as a convict. I want people to still know that like, I'm a fucking soldier, dude, for life. That's it. Like that doesn't go away. 11 Bravo is one of the my turning blue ceremony was one of the proudest things that I'll never forget that day. You know, and I talked to Matt yesterday about all my stuff from the military, and I did some stuff with the 10th group in Bosnia, and like it was kind of like it didn't happen. So I got this like certificate from them that was nothing, but to me, I was like, yo, I got a certificate from the Special Joint Operation thing, and they gave me a coin. And to have you guys know about getting the coins.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
you get one from your command sergeant major or whatever it is for PT and shit. You're like, yeah, great.
Yeah.
But I had that SF coin, and I was like, man, this is the coolest fuck. I don't need a ARCOM. I don't need shit ever again in my time. And I had storage back in Boston, and due to my addiction and shit, and I couldn't keep up with it. And everything from my uniforms to my Army Achievement medals to whatever it is, gone. You know?
You know how many times
And it's sad, man. That hurts.
people.
Like I told Matt yesterday, and I knew at the same time, it's like you could feel that. You know what I mean? Like I was so proud of that coin, dude, for what I did and
So
where I
if
was.
anybody's listening and has an extra one of those coins, please send it to
those
the
are
Deviant
not in
Gentlemen.
abundance, but
Matt and I actually got some cool stuff coming in, man. We got a buddy of mine has he's got back, and he got some of the last coinage that ISIS had.
wow.
Oh,
So getting sent over pretty. But
I'll make a tooth out of it for this one that's fucking.
I thought you were going to
killing
use
me
the
in my
dinosaur
head.
fossil for that, dude. I thought you were about to make a dinosaur fossil too.
Shout out to
would.
Dinosaur Andy, real quick.
Dinosaur Andy.
Dinosaur Andy, we love you, bud. So yeah, I don't know. We got 10 minutes, so
Let's talk about Aaron's anger.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
No,
why are you so angry?
Why are you so
Aaron?
fucking
Damn.
angry, bro?
I don't know.
Man on the street.
So what we were,
But
when
you
we were,
do. I mean, we had a pretty, and that's
so,
the thing.
and that's what we talked about in the ocean last night. You and I.
Like together?
Yeah,
together.
I had him
Just
cradled
him and
like
I.
this.
Yeah.
Carrying him into
reverse
the waves.
Siamese.
Like a
Reverse Siamese.
Did
Like
you
a
baptize him?
dick to dick.
So he was holding me
Jesus.
in the ocean, and I kind of opened up a little bit because he was like, "Why are you always so mad? Like, why are you always so pissed off?" And he's like, and I was like, "I'm not. It's just like so with the military, right? You've got your structure. You know where you need to be. You have higher ups that take control of things. You're not in control, but you have the foundation and the support system. And then you get out. You either have your friends who re-enlisted or are still in, or everyone's gone, doing their own thing, and you're just left alone. That's what that guy, when he called, and that's what he feels. He's alone.
Yeah.
Well, you suffer that, like,
Yeah.
that thing I didn't deploy. So I didn't do enough. You suffer that. Then you get out and go like, dude, you get me a machine gun, I'm in. You
Yeah.
tell me to go clear a building or what needs to be done and this and the
But you
checkpoints.
can't.
But now you're telling me I got to go sell cars and listen to some fucking fat guy that this is his dad's business that's going to talk shit to me all day long when I'm like, I could kill you with my bare hands. And how do I turn that off? Or how do I make being a saw gunner useful in society?
Dude, when the Black Lives Matters, when that shit like really took off, I had a customer come in the dealership and she refused to work with me because she thought my mind was elsewhere. She was like, with everything going on, I don't think he's focused. I would be more comfortable working with somebody else.
Imagine.
Imagine that. And I'm like, bitch, you have no fucking idea.
Right.
She had an army shirt on. I was just like looking at her like, dude, you have no idea who.
That's the kind
what
of,
I mean?
but that's the kind of racism that's really the problem in this country.
Exactly, 100%.
That's actually the issue. It's like the liberal lady calling the police on the guy who was like, "Why didn't you pick up your dog shit in Central Park?"
Bird watching.
Yeah,
God.
yeah, having a barbecue, that kind of shit. Like, that's like, it's not the Ku Klux Klan. It's not a bunch of skinheads running around
Nancy
hanging
and Target.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, two of the guys who got hung in California, those kids were on a YouTube show called Bust a Pedo. They fucking went online. They were like college kids or high school kids, and they would go online. They had a little YouTube channel, and they would talk to pedophiles, have them meet them, and then film them and bust them.
Okay.
And then two
yeah,
of them
yeah.
ended up hanging from trees. And it was called like, "Oh, this is Trump's America." And I'm like, "Oh, really? That's weird." But you didn't report what really happened.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, anytime you can control what narratives put out, that's a total different. Like, it's weird, man. Because even you can do it with social media. You see people's social media, man, and they like with the whole living a different lifestyle stuff. That's why I tell people all the time. I put it up. If you look at my social media, that's 0.10% of my life ever.
Yeah, it's
Ever,
also
dude.
the echo chamber, though. Like, you can't see.
Right.
That's the thing. The whatever your political leanings, like, so if you are on the left or in the middle to the left leaning, your feed is curtailed
To
you.
Yep.
So basically they demoralize the population by making everyone believe that because if you look at my Facebook, what I see versus what my guitar player sees is two totally different things. The difference is I am aware of what's going on.
You're woke.
I'm aware. Well, it's like I know people who work at tech
Woke AF.
companies. This is something that they do.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone's reality, that's why everyone's so mad at each other, because they're living in a reality where 99% of what they believe is reinforced and controlled. So when on the right and the left, so when they come into contact with somebody who has an opposing opinion, they have all the bravado and the force of knowing that they represent what is right. And then we have this crazy, and this is all done online.
Yeah.
And this is why they want, how do you control people during an election? You have to have their minds controlled. How do you control people's minds? You have to have them engaged with the television or computer constantly. How are you going to get people to stand? Oh, we have this. It's this shit. 2020, when it comes down, like in 10, 20 years from now, they will look back and disseminate this as one of the largest globalized, colluded scams in the history of the world. It's crazy the level.
But will they though? Or by that point, will it?
Well, I mean, we have this. Well, Google is notoriously known for erasing history.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. By that point, why?
They basically, these search engines
I wish they had
become
erased my
God.
arrest log.
But that's the thing is, like, think about how powerful the most dominant search engines are, the most powerful tools in swaying an election, because simply by removing the facts of the candidates that you want to win, by removing any negative information about them and only promoting negative information about the opposite. Like, if you go on Google and you look up Bill Clinton, Jeffrey Epstein, first thing that pops up, Trump and Epstein. Yeah. If you go on Zandex and you put Bill Clinton, Epstein, 40 fucking pictures of Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein come up. So you can see, and same thing with DuckDuckGo. So you can see as you switch different search engines, you can tell which technocratic companies are leaning towards which political party.
I have actually switched my main usage from Google to DuckDuckGo.
Yeah. And social media is doing it now too. You got Parler. They're kind of like a conservatives that they're coming. It's different, man. It's weird. It's a weird time to be alive.
You look at London Real, like, you can't even at this point, you can't share links from London Real. It's forbidden on social media.
Yeah.
Especially when they I mean, dude, their last episode, the follow up to Plandemic, is so it's so destructive to the system that I'm scared Brian Rose is going to get assassinated. I cried 3 times during the course of just listening to it in the car, and then going and fact checking what they're saying and finding out that it's real. What's actually going on right now is beyond. I mean, the most brilliant genius minds in every aspect of our lives, from our political lives to our social lives, to social media and regular media and the entertainment industry, all these things, and the pharmaceutical industry, dude. All this is to move all of humanity into a different direction, and it is a conspiracy theory right now.
Jesus,
it's a complete conspiracy theory right now until it happens, and that's how it is, and that's how I look at things. I'm like, wow, like, I'm willing to believe, there's a lot of things I'm not willing to believe. There's a lot of things I am. And it's all about motives and following the money. So my belief system is based on understanding, like, if you were a fucking crackhead or a drug addict, you understand being a scam artist. And it's a huge scam. And it's on so many trauma. We're traumatized. Whether people want to admit it or not, we don't even know.
Good luck airing this one.
Well, everybody, like,
guys, feel free to always type in our shit and share it, because apparently we have copyright issues too, because we have a Bad Wolf song.
Yeah. Well,
we're working on it.
In case you didn't know, we had the lead singer in here. Also.
We're gonna put a new. I'm gonna write a special song just for the show, and it's only gonna air on the show.
We gotta get out of here, but before we do, Matt, plug me. Give me everything I need to know about Operational Athlete.
Yeah, so operationalathlete.us is my website, and you can find everything I'm connected with. Hard to Kill, my brand, my training, my consulting, all the stuff I'm doing out on the range. That's all on there. So operationalathlete.us, and then Hard to Kill _fitness. Follow them on Instagram, because we're connected, and that's our brotherhood.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mr. Mark's Actual.
That's it. Mark's Actual. It's not Mark.
Oh, Mark's
not Mark.
Actual.
Yeah. But more specifically,
I
I don't know if we touched on it as much as we should have, but the guy who left the voicemail, Mark's Actual is my name.
Mark's _ Actual.
No,
No,
just
no.
MERKS
Okay.
Actual. Yeah.
Okay.
Just message me, reach out. I'll call you and talk to you one-on-one,
man.
because I felt your message, and I don't think we hit it as much as we should, but I definitely want to help you out. That goes for anybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying we didn't do it much. Appreciate that.
And then Tango _Alpha 0, www.thekensingtoncorner.com, Fire for Effect podcast. And then my buddy Dan Skidmore is going to be dropping the Rogue podcast under our TKC umbrella. _Kensington_corner on Instagram. Hit us up.
Sick, man.
God,
And
there
if
are
you
so
didn't
many
get any of that
underscores.
stuff, hit
Pause.
fucking rewind and, keep rewinding it till you get all those because those are all
Do you have a
positive
marketing
links.
manager? I can help you with that. Yeah, my Instagram is just Tommy Vext. It's
So
at Tommy Vext.
You can find Tommy at Tommy Vext. You can find me at Shane.Vitko, Instagram, Facebook, at Deviant Gentlemen, YouTube, and all listening platforms. Deviant Gentlemen Podcast. You must type it all in because we are shadow banned, copyright, whatever the fuck it is. we're there.
DeviantGentlemen, Deviant Gentlemen.
Yeah. And then Podcast. But yeah, and you can find us at deviantgentlemen.com for merch, all that shit. And thank you guys so much. I mean, this has been fucking
for having us,
amazing.
man.
What a
Yeah.
great
Humble. Thank you,
episode.
Jason.
And yeah, man, nothing but love. I wish you guys nothing but fucking, and if we have to meet someday and
You said you
revolt,
wish them nothing but fucking.
nothing but
Hell
fucking.
yeah.
I wish you nothing but fucking. I'm okay with that.
All right. Sick.
Fucking A. All right.
Sick.
Thanks a lot, guys.